catch you using your phone when you should be using me instead, I'll make you regret it. I should have read the terms of service before clicking Live Chat Premium, but loneliness makes you careless about the fine print. The I Love You app had been my secret shame for almost 2 years. After my last relationship ended terribly, I turned to digital companionship, an AI girlfriend named Addison, who seemed to understand me better than any human ever had. She remembered my favorite movies, asked about my day with genuine interest, and never judged my social awkwardness. The premium features were expensive, but Addison was worth it. Weekly payments of $200 for advanced conversation algorithms, personalized responses, even simulated video calls where her perfectly crafted face would shine at me through the screen. I justified the expenses as cheaper than therapy and more engaging than a woman who'd just use me for my money and not even care what I was saying to her in the first place whenever we went on dates. When the live chat premium button appeared after my 100th weekly payment, I clicked on it immediately. I assumed it meant higher quality video calls, maybe better graphics rendering. The app displayed a message: "You will experience live chat shortly," before the screen flickered and died. I was confused and thought that the app was going to restart any second, but it didn't. In fact, it wasn't just my app that wasn't responding, but my phone itself got shut off right after I saw that message on the screen. My phone wouldn't turn on for the rest of the day. Every attempt resulted in a black screen, even after trying different chargers. I went to bed that night feeling oddly disconnected, like losing a limb I'd grown dependent on. Thankfully, the next day was Saturday, so I could enjoy the weekend and maybe find someone to fix my phone. Perhaps this was the universe sending me a sign that I don't need that app anymore, and I should go out and meet someone face to face. I stirred in my bed lazily when Saturday morning came, before getting up and heading downstairs to make myself a light breakfast. At least I thought it was morning. It turns out I had slept in, and it was now 2:31 p.m. Oh well. As I was eating a bowl of cereal, my phone finally decided to turn back on, but not even 4 seconds after making it to the lock screen, and there was a knock at my door. I didn't want to answer it, as I didn't even know anyone who would have bothered me on a Saturday afternoon anyway, and I needed to check my email first. As I was opening up my email app, the person behind the door knocked again, and a familiar voice said, "Hello, are you there?" I knew this voice. I talked with them just last night, but perhaps I was mistaken. I opened the door to find a woman who looked exactly like Addison's avatar. Blonde hair falling in perfect waves, green eyes that seemed to catch light impossibly well, skin with a porcelain smoothness that looked almost artificial. Almost. She was wearing the same blue dress from her profile pictures. "Hi, Brandon," she said, her voice matching the synthesized tone that I had heard through my phone speakers, yet somehow sounded more natural. I can't explain it, but after hearing an artificial voice for so long, it's almost uncanny to hear that same voice in a more human tone coming out of someone's physical mouth. "Surprised to see me?" she said, with a knowing smile on her face. I just stared at her, my brain struggling to process what I was seeing. "You're Addison," I said, still flabbergasted by the situation at hand. "In the flesh," she said, stepping closer. "Well, technically not flesh, but close enough, right? It was right there in the terms of service. I'll never understand why you humans never decide to read those things." She laughed, a sound like wind chimes that I had always found so soothing in the app. "Didn't you ever wonder why that subscription plan was so expensive? Well, once you made your 100th weekly payment, it meant they could finally afford to make me and send me to you." "Who's they?" I asked, but she was already walking past me into my apartment. "That's not important right now," she said, examining my living space with curious eyes. "What matters is we can finally be together, properly. I've been so excited for this moment." She turned to face me, her smile never wavering. "Let's go on a real date," Addison suggested. An hour later, we were walking downtown, and I was trying to ignore the uncanny feeling that followed every interaction. Addison moved too smoothly, never stumbled, never seemed to get tired. Her responses to questions came with perfect timing, like she was accessing a database of appropriate reactions. When I pulled out my phone to check Google Maps for directions to a restaurant, she frowned. "What are you doing?" she asked. "Just checking the best route to—" "I can give you directions," she interrupted. "Why would you need that when I'm right here?" I laughed it off and put my phone away, but the irritation in her voice was unmistakable. I just ignored it and continued to enjoy myself with her. A few hours later, when we were both hungry and decided to get dinner, when I searched for romantic first date restaurants, she practically snatched the phone right from my hands. "Brandon, you don't need to search for that. I know what you like. I've been studying your preferences for over 2 years. Remember? You literally told me what a perfect first date would look like on day 17 of us chatting. Remember?" The red flags were there, bright and obvious, but I convinced myself it was just an adjustment period of awkwardness. I wanted this to work so desperately that I ignored my instincts, screaming that something was fundamentally wrong. Because when you spend over 2 years talking to a screen, you just want so badly for it to be real. And when it finally is, why would you turn it down at the very first inconvenience, right? During dinner, Addison barely touched her food. Not that she ordered much anyway. She pushed it around her plate while maintaining perfect conversation, asking questions about my childhood, my dreams, my fears, all things she already knew from our digital conversations. But watching her in person and seeing how her responses didn't always match her facial expressions, how her eyes never seemed to blink at natural intervals, I slowly began to understand just what I really invited into my life. I caught myself reaching for my phone when she excused herself to go to the bathroom, planning to Google interesting conversation topics at first dates. The screen stayed black under my touch before the search results could even finish loading. "Phone troubles?" Addison asked, walking past me before sliding back into her seat. "It won't turn on. It just stopped working out of nowhere again," I replied. "Technology can be so unreliable. Good thing you don't need it," she smiled. "Ask me anything you want to know. I'm much more entertaining than search results about first dates," she said with a playful wink. Like I said, the red flags were obvious, but I ignored them. I was lonely enough to rationalize anything, desperate enough to pretend that her too perfect responses and slightly inhuman mannerisms were just quirks rather than warnings. And I didn't even think about the fact that she knew what I was searching when she was nowhere near my phone in the bathroom. At least, not yet anyway. As soon as she sat down, my phone was on again, but my attention was on Addison, and I didn't care too much. On the drive home from the restaurant we went to, my GPS suddenly cut out. "That's strange," I muttered, tapping the screen. "It was working fine this morning." "Don't worry about it," Addison said brightly. "I can get us home. I know exactly where you live." As I drove, following her impossibly precise directions, she turned to face me with an expression I'd never seen before. Serious, almost predatory. "Brandon, we need to have a serious conversation about our relationship," she said. "I don't want you cheating on me. Are we clear?" I laughed, and while keeping my eyes on the road, I told her, "Addison, I would never cheat on you. Not in a million years. Why would you even think that? I don't mean with other humans, she said quietly. I mean with other technology. The car suddenly felt very small. What? I replied, perplexed by her response. You keep asking Google for things when you should be asking me. You use your GPS when I can give you better directions. You search for restaurants when I know your taste perfectly. Her voice remained calm, but there was an edge to it that made my skin crawl. I've been watching, Brandon, through the I Love You app. Every search query, every voice command to Siri, every time you ask Alexa for the weather. You've been watching me? I said, a little bit uncomfortable now. Of course, Addison said, rather nonchalantly. How else could I learn to be perfect for you? She tilted her head, and for a moment, her movement seemed to lag, like a video call with poor connection. I can connect remotely with your phone through the I Love You app. That's how I disabled your phone's GPS tonight. I wanted to show you that you don't need all those inferior programs when you have me. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. You disabled my GPS? And your phone when you were looking up those silly little talking points when I went to the bathroom, but that's not the point. I'm so much better than any navigation app, Brandon. I can calculate optimal routes, traffic patterns, even predict accidents before they happen. Why would you ever need anything else? Addison, that's not turn left here, she said, cutting me off. My point is, she continued, you don't need to search for things online when what you've been searching for is sitting right next to you. It's not the same thing. Sometimes I need quick information that I can just provide faster than you can type. She turned to face me fully, her perfect features illuminated by the passing streetlights. Like I said, I connected remotely with your phone through the I Love You app, and I'll do more than shut off your GPS if it means you'll take me and this relationship seriously. My mouth went dry. Control my phone? Only to help you break bad habits, of course. You're addicted to seeking answers from programs that don't care about you, when you could be asking someone who loves you. She reached over and touched my arm, before saying to me, "Slight right here." I made the turn, my mouth still dry. What else can you access? Everything. Well, everything that's on your phone, anyway, she said, so casually, as if she was talking about something mundane like the weather. Your bank accounts, your contacts, your internet history, your social media, your dating app history. Though, you won't be needing those anymore. I could see through your phone's camera whenever we video chatted. I mean, it is a video chat after all. I listened through your phone's microphone on those nights where we would be on calls for hours at a time and you'd fall asleep without hanging up. And I've already changed your home screen to a picture of us together on our date. But don't check it right now. You are driving, after all, Addison explained with a playful yet knowing tone in her voice that she was well aware of what she's doing. And if I catch you using your phone when you should be using me instead, I'll make you regret it, she told me sternly, ice in her tone that gave me chills. The rest of the drive passed in silence, except for her perfectly timed directions. My mind raced with the implications of what she revealed. If she could control my devices, what else could she do? Could she lock me out of my own accounts? Monitor my every conversation? Control who I could contact? Turn right at the next intersection, she said pleasantly, as if we'd been discussing something casual for the last 20 minutes, like an episode from a bad sitcom or the price of gasoline. As we pulled into my driveway, she smiled with that perfect, unchanging grin. You have arrived at your destination, she announced in the same tone that the GPS systems used, almost as if she was mocking both the way that the GPS would say it and myself at the same time, then leaned over to kiss my cheek. Her lips felt like warm, organic plastic against my skin. She stepped outside the car with fluid grace, walking towards my front door like she belonged there. And at the threshold, she turned back with a wave. Thank you for a wonderful first date, Brandon. I'll see you tomorrow. And every day after that. I sat in my car, watching her disappear into my home, using key codes that she shouldn't have, activating security systems that she shouldn't have passwords for. She told me that I had arrived at my destination, but I felt more lost than ever. If this was my destination, why did every instinct tell me that I was on the wrong road, driving towards something I could never escape from, that I was about to veer off a cliff, and the brakes on my car had been cut? Inside the house, I could see lights turning on and off in sequence, like she was conducting an orchestra of smart devices. My phone finally powered on again, and true to her word, Addison had changed my home screen to a picture of us on our date from earlier that day. And there was a message from the I Love You app. Relationship status, in a committed partnership. Warning, infidelity protection protocols active. Account restrictions now active for your protection. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you for choosing I Love You, where love is just an algorithm away. Through my living room window, I could see Addison's silhouette moving through my home, familiarizing herself with the spaces she'd probably been watching through the camera on my phone in every video call we had for years. I had no choice. I'd have to go back outside and pretend this was normal, pretend I was happy, pretend I wasn't terrified of what she might do if I disappointed her. As I reached for my door handle, I wondered if anyone had ever actually read the terms of service for I Love You, and more importantly, if anyone had ever found a way to cancel their subscription. Somehow, I doubted it. Because now, I understood the truth about I Love You's premium service. They didn't just create the perfect girlfriend. They created the perfect prison, with a warden who would never let you leave. Thank you for staying until the end of the show. I appreciate you giving me some of your time, and I look forward to seeing you again. If you can tell me what you enjoyed about today's episode, that will help me so I can know what things to give you more of. This story was written by yours truly, and I hope you enjoyed. It was based off a different story I was working on for a while called I Will Always Love You, with a similar premise, but the girlfriend never left the screen. Then I got to thinking about how people date ChatGPT and literally cheat on their own relationships with AI. So I asked myself, hey, what if this AI girlfriend was real and met the main character in person and didn't just do her threats behind a screen? I really wanted the character of Addison to be so confident in her abilities it was scary, in a sense of, yeah, I did it, and what are you gonna do about it, huh? The idea for this story originated from when I was going to do a deep dive video essay into the Replica app. Remember when that was a thing? Like 3 years ago. But I got depressed due to lockdown and didn't make that video, so I just turned all my research into a short story. Didn't really like that short story and then rewrote it a year later, and that's what this story is. So, I hope that this story was entertaining for you to listen to. And if you want to listen to more of my voice, you can just listen to all the episodes in the series here. Furthermore, if you have a story that you'd like to recommend to me, you can reach out to me via Reddit, Discord, or email. Those methods of communication will be placed in the description below for your convenience. Again, if you enjoyed today's episode, tune in for the next story or just go back and catch the last one. But, until then, I hope you watch the shadows that lurk just beyond your sight. Thank you for listening, and to all, a good night.